Scotland. So this video is about Prince Andrew, his current situation, because you may know that there have been allegations around for well over a dozen years that he had sex with people below the age of 18 in the United States, in the UK, and some Caribbean island. Of course, the age of consent in Great Britain is 16. Now, Victoria Giuffre, I'm not sure how you pronounce it. I think Roberts was her maiden name. She alleges that she had intercourse with him at the age of 17 in the United Kingdom, where that would have been above the legal age, but that she said he didn't fully consent, and that he molested her in other jurisdictions where the age of consent was 18, and that she was below that age at the pertinent time. So Prince Andrew, in case you don't know, he's the Queen's second son. And he's also got the title of the Duke of York. So, and he really got himself into a great deal of trouble, made his situation so much worse, almost 2 years ago, by giving an ill-advised, ill-judged interview to the BBC in an effort to close this down. Hello, Audrey Forbes Hamilton, saying good evening to me online. So a civil case is ongoing against him. So far as I know, there's been no attempt to extradite him to the United States. There have been allegations flying back and forth across the Atlantic for a couple of years now that he has refused to speak to the FBI, and his lawyer said, no, we've offered to do so. So somebody here is lying. Could it be an FBI strategy to persuade him to go to the United States, where he could then be arrested? Now, obviously, there is an extradition treaty between the United Kingdom and the United States. People can be extradited, and of course, it's happened before. That's not a new thing. It's gone on for well over a century. Dr. Harvey Crippen, take a bow, for instance. No one's above the law. That includes the monarch. Monarch's put on trial in the United Kingdom, so he doesn't have any immunity from prosecution or extradition. Anyway, there's a civil case going on against him at this time. He pointedly cancelled a golfing holiday to Spain a couple of years ago, partly, it's said, because he was worried he'd be arrested there and extradited from Spain to the United States more easily than from the UK. I don't think there's any warrant out for his arrest. So somebody's lying. Has he offered to speak to the FBI and they haven't let him, or what? Or maybe he's lying and he's not going to say that because he might incriminate himself, doesn't want to make it even worse. He could, of course, go into the interview room and say absolutely nothing. Virginia, his supposed victim, she is taking legal action against him, seeking damages, saying that the sexual abuse she supposedly suffered at his hands has had repercussions for the rest of her life. He did this in cahoots with his bosom buddy, the late Jeffrey Epstein of unhappy and inglorious memory. So that Epstein supposedly had the Lolita Express, had these girls below the age of consent flown around from one jurisdiction to the next for the purpose of sexual exploitation. And his dear friend, his sometime romantic partner, was Ghislaine Maxwell, who's currently awaiting trial in the United States on various charges of expediting the sexual abuse of minors. So so a court in New York would hear the case, whether she has some sort of civil case against His Royal Highness Prince Andrew. But documents had to be served on Prince Andrew. And Prince Andrew, though he's notoriously not got much between the ears, he is advised by some clever people, and they said, don't make yourself available to receive such documents. He's been more or less hiding out in the royal estate, with the home park at Windsor, beside Windsor Castle, and going out as little as possible, trying to keep a low profile, because he's just bad publicity, and the House of Windsor needs him like they need a hole in the head. But anyway, it's a rule of any system of justice worth a name, even the Third Reich, that the defendant must understand the charges against him, or in this case a civil case, the allegations against him. So supposedly it's tortious malfeasance by him. Remember, if it's the civil standard, that will only be on the balance of probabilities, much easier to prove than the criminal standard, which would be beyond all reasonable doubt, because even a penumbra of doubt could lead to his acquittal. So the case has been heard by Judge Lewis Kaplan in New York State to begin with. Anyway, so they had to make sure that these papers had been served on Prince Andrew. How could this be done? A corporate investigator was sent across the United Kingdom, Cesar Sepulveda, to place some sort of package of documents at the gates of Windsor Great Park. So that means he's get them, also take them to the Duke's home, get as far as close as you can. the Duke, he's got some sort of lawyer in the United States, in Los Angeles, give them there. So there's no way that he could say that he didn't receive them. Anyway, anyway, the court in New York said they're satisfied this means that they have been received, and also courts in the United Kingdom have been involved to say, yeah, we consider this to be proper. That the prince cannot legally dispute this and say he doesn't know the charges against him. I mean, insofar as it's been difficult to receive these documents for him, it's because he's deliberately made it so, thinking this would frustrate the onward march of the legal process. Now, it could be that the prince is as innocent as a lamb, but I don't think it likely. What he did was certainly, shall we say, injudicious, if not immoral, if not illegal. Anyway, documents were sent by email to a British lawyer who's represented the prince previously, doesn't necessarily represent them right now, believing that they will be passed on and so on. So the claimant's legal team, or do they say plaintiff in the United States actually, had photographed themselves as posting the documents. So there's no way that Prince Andrew's legal team could say, no, whoop, sorry, didn't get them. So Randy Andes is known. In British slang, Randy meaning you have an exceptionally high sex drive. So D-Raz, where are you? One of my loyal followers. Please tell more to subscribe. And I'm looking forward to a most liberal donation from you on PayPal. It's georgecallahan79@gmail.com. You'll find me there on PayPal. So they've also found out what the Duke's email address is. So really it's belt and braces. So the process will be going ahead. Anyway, but the High Court in London, I think, is going to find that the Duke definitely has been served these documents. There's a legal agreement which says that a court in the United States can seek a court in the UK to cooperate with them, to assist them in ensuring the documents are served on someone in the United Kingdom, and I think there's mutuality to this agreement. Anyway, he can't evade facing this case, and it's possible that he'll win. I think it's not much chance that he'll win. So there we go. And so he might have to pay, millions of dollars in damages. Obviously, he's a very wealthy man. But the trouble about allowing damages is, doesn't that incentivize bogus allegations because you make so much money? Now, I know there are legal costs to be paid, or people will just buy your silence, just an out-of-court settlement, pay you, non-disclosure agreement, to go away, shut up, and not cause any more trouble. But anyway, this is running on and on. Thank God, from the House of Windsor's perspective, he's not the eldest brother, who's Prince Charles, that people are saying he should be excluded from the line of succession. So that's it. Even his daughter's good news, getting married. Princess Beatrice's eldest daughter's pregnant now. That hasn't really shifted the spotlight away from these murky allegations against him. So he doesn't add luster to the royal diadem, as they say. That's enough from me. Michael Jackson, yes, we're paying off lots of money, a non-disclosure agreement. But then the trouble is there'd be gold diggers out there. You can accuse anybody of anything and get paid off for it. And doesn't it make it less credible? Say, but they've got financial incentive to perjure themselves, or admittedly so is the other side. The defendant perjure himself to stop having to pay out all the money. So, okay, these people have suffered and get some sort of civil redress. It could be an apology or therapy paid for, but not money. That seems very wrong to me. That's enough from me, so please follow me on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook and all the rest of it, and request more videos. Goodbye. Now, how on earth do I close this thing off? Turn this thing off. Okay.